Hello everybody and welcome to our watch party of WWE Smackdown. Tonight we have John Cena, we may well have Pat McAfee and indeed The Rock, and my hair is doing a thing. We have a few matches announced as well as the intrigue naturally with The Rock. We got Finn Balor and AJ Styles, and we have a little bit of Asuka versus Bayley to talk about. So plenty going on amidst talk of WWE releases. It is a bit of a crazy time to be a wrestling fan, but wrestling fans we are, and wrestling fans we stay. I want to say hello to everyone in the chat. Hello to Joe. Hello to the Troll, who, bless them, has nothing better to do with their day. Hello to Brad. Hello to Pete. Hello to Marcel. Hello to Daniel. Welcome everyone. Good to see you. We already have 7 likes before we even start, which is a wonderful number. Thank you very kindly. Smackdown is starting as we speak. I believe we are opening with Pat McAfee. Naturally. So Pat McAfee is indeed there, which definitely suggests that we may well be opening with The Rock as well. Can't say I disagree with the concept, always a fun one. Hello Bayley and hello Wiggly, nice to see you. Michael Cole is very excited, at least he knew about it this time. He didn't know at the, I believe it was the Royal Rumble. Solid reception. I wouldn't say it's a water reception worthy, but we'll take it. We'll take it. Okay, Troll, go bye-bye. Michael Cole laying into Kevin Patrick there. Now this show is mostly going to be built around John Cena and his work with Grayson Waller. We will continue to build up to the OC, Judgment Day and Bloodline, essentially just massive freeway faction warfare. I have no issue with it. But if they can pop an opening, and well, pop an opening is probably the wrong phrase, if they can pop a good rating at the beginning of the show, they certainly have the people to do it. Thomas says, do you think The Rock will show up? I mean, rumour has it that he was there. Rumour has it. Pat McAfee putting over SmackDown over Raw. And I get that. He was a full-time commentator for a while, and it was fun. It's just cheap pop after cheap pop, but hey, the man's got control of a crowd. Yeah, Brad, the troll's fun for a bit, gets the chat rate up, but eventually, you know, they've literally spent their whole day just waiting for me to be here so they can annoy me, and you ain't really worth it. Austin Theory is heading down to interrupt Pat McAfee. Austin Theory, another one on John Cena's list. But they did share a stunner way back when. I wonder if they'll mention that Vince McMahon technically beat Pat McAfee. I do feel like they sent Austin Theory out there a little bit late. They cut to him before he was actually in his spotlight. Bit awkward. We've opened with no recap or anything like that, which is very unusual for WWE Smackdown nowadays. It's almost like it's a busy enough show that they don't really think it's the right move. Okay, so if you remember the last time The Rock made an appearance on SmackDown, it was to work with super popular babyface Becky Lynch and super unpopular heel Baron Corbin. I kind of feel like Austin Theory is holding up the Baron Corbin role here. I like that they're both wearing the exact same clothes. Yeah, Thomas, we talked about Jade Cargill on Spoiler Warning. It's basically after the hour, so check that out. Austin Theory letting the chance get going. It's not the warmest reception. I felt like it could have been a little bit more. But Austin Theory will get the people behind. Joe, probably true. John Cena's there to beat people up. Makes sense. He's essentially there because they know they're not going to have Roman Reigns for a while. And if you'll note, when Roman Reigns is due to return, John Cena go bye-bye. I do feel like they might be on the same Saudi show, though. No, Pete. No, it isn't. Sounds like a pretty sweet life for Pat McAfee. Couple of threats from Pat McAfee, from Austin Theory. Now, Pat can handle himself. I just don't think he will. It'd be a good time for Pretty Deadly to get involved, to be fair. They could be the cannon fodder. Very glad that Pat McAfee mentioned that they are wearing the exact same attire. Joey says, why is Pat McAfee here? Feels random. He was local. That's all it was. That's all it is. He was local, he was available, there he is. That's a easy lineup there. It didn't SmackDown. It's the Austin Theory show. Guess who might defend SmackDown? Might suggest the millions and the millions of The Rock's fans. Joe says, Tom, my reason why I think The Rock will not face Roman is because The Rock had a lot of movies coming up filming. Not at the moment he doesn't. The People's Show? We're People's Champ? Pat's teasing it. There he be. Now that's a pop, and I think because most people knew what was coming on that one. That is a creep out. Look at him enjoying himself. John Cena, The Rock, and was that a runner behind him? Just changing my title because you know how it be. Sai just gives us a big swear, bless him. James says, Tom, do you see the contracts in the WWE going under the same guide as the UFC? No. Pete with a wow, Joey with a wow. It was coming. Man be local. And the man knows how to hype up a SmackDown. First and foremost, mentioning a WrestleMania, mentioning Roman Reigns by name. And then you're surprised to see him turn up on SmackDown? The man knows what he's doing. This will pop a rating, and this will send a message to Fox as well. It will send a clear message to Fox that this is the show you want, and this is the show where you want to spend money. Joe says, give the fans what they want. Could not be any more clear. We're getting lots of fan reactions now as well, just showing that people are into it. James says, that's why they did that interview on Pat's show, bringing up Mania. Yep, Pat McAfee knew what to ask. He may or may not have been told what to ask, let's be fair. I also think it's very clever use of the dirt sheets, by the by. Let's not undercut this. The WWE knew exactly what they were doing when a member of Pat McAfee's team leaked the information that Pat McAfee and The Rock were going to be at SmackDown. They knew what they were doing. They knew who they could leak it to, who would immediately share it as well. They knew exactly what they were doing. Let's not pretend the dirt sheets haven't been completely used tonight. Pete's got chills. James says, will Roman show up? Roman isn't booked to my knowledge. There's both positives and negatives to this. The positive, obviously, is it's The Rock. Guaranteed to bring attention. The negatives is if it wasn't The Rock coming down to beat up Austin Theory, it would be someone like LA Knight. Joe, are you not watching the show? if you're watching the show, you'd know exactly what he's about to do. So check out the show. Wiggly just says, "Oh my god." Joey says, "I guess they weren't trolling when they said The Rock was coming back tonight." To be fair, they didn't quite say The Rock was coming back tonight. They said it was a possibility. That is a reception. James says, The Rock versus Theory at Mania. Theory beats The Rock. I mean, it happened to Cena. Pete says, "Don't make me sad, Tom." Huge reaction. Joe, seriously, do you not watch SmackDown? It's a watch along, mate. Sai says, "Look who they gave the segment to, Austin Theory. Good on him if they're determined to make that push." To be fair, they could have made that moment with Grayson Waller. They've instead done that for John Cena, but Austin Theory's the guy. Austin Theory being in the ring with Stone Cold Steve Austin not too long ago. Working naturally right now with Rey Mysterio. He's worked with John Cena. Now he's in the ring opposite The Rock. They know what they were doing. Austin Theory's going to double down. Good. James is suggesting some bloodline intervention. I don't personally see it. Pat McAfee's just marking out in the background. Yeah, The Rock's going to have quite a lot of time off. The writer's strike doesn't look set to end anytime soon, but the scabs be coming in. Interesting line there from The Rock, because that's definitely not true. Joey, there's a reason Roman isn't there interacting with The Rock right now. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it. Joey said it would be so epic seeing a segment with The Rock and Roman. Pete just says, "Here we go." And then swaps microphone. Interesting. Okay, now we get all the catchphrases. There is just going to be a lot of catchphrases now. It's The Rock, that's how it works. We have 10 likes in the stream already. We have 19 people watching. If you're able to, please remember to hit that thumbs up. It does guarantee that more people will find this stream, and it means we continue to build momentum on each and every one. Pete says, "Strap in and watch the Master at work." There will be quite a few people backstage trying to get a conversation with The Rock tonight. Austin Theory knows his job. Reference to Stone Cold Steve Austin, well played. Credit where it's due there. James says, "What's the WWE Instagram be all about The Rock the next few days?" Yeah, they do this periodically. Whenever people are starting to share reports about The Rock, you see The Rock appear everywhere on WWE social media. Okay, people copying The Rock's catchphrases for heat. This is going to be very, very paint by numbers. It's very slow as well. The Rock providing the blueprint to beat his own catchphrases in future. Steve Austin, not necessarily The Rock's boy. They're supposed to be heated rivals. Is the comparison to Stone Cold beneficial? Not a great thing for Austin Theory, I don't feel. Joey says, "This is a loaded show. They got The Rock and Cena on for the same SmackDown." They do indeed. I mean, they don't have Roman Reigns, and yet people are going to be tuning in for this one. Sai says, "LA Knight is backstage taking notes." He would have been in this spot if The Rock wasn't there, I'm sure. Bayley says, "Theory looks a lot smaller up against these two." He does. He is a big guy, but unfortunately, you're just not really able to compete with it. Just can't compete with that one. The Rock's going to show his a-hole? This is just complete cheerleading. And they muted it. No, it's going to be good. James says they got to get the ratings for the first TKO show. Joey says the Smackdown is definitely going to do a huge rating. And Kieran says, could The Rock maybe be the Saudi opponent? I found that extremely unlikely. If he's going to step in the ring again, it'll be a whole year build to it. It will be a WrestleMania. And now gets the fans to applaud themselves. That is a master of work. Nearly missed the blank there. Joey says they should have put LA Knight in for this segment instead of Theory. Disagree. Completely disagree, because otherwise you've got a guy that they're cheering for, a guy that they're cheering for, and a guy that they're cheering for. You don't get this with that. You have to have a you have to have someone to get annoyed, really, I guess. LA Knight could have taken The Rock's place or Pat McAfee's place, but not Austin Theory's. Austin Theory is integral to this segment. So he says, imagine buying a ticket to this, they must feel like they've hit the lottery. Just pure lucked out. The news about him potentially being there only went live about, what, 3 hours ago? Thought Pat McAfee was correcting me there. No, it's not 2 hours. It never really helps build someone when The Rock says he doesn't know who they are. James rightly saying you can't have a face versus face for something like this. In order for a wrestler to win, another wrestler has to lose, and sometimes that's purely verbal. Austin Theory struck first. We are getting physical. Not the best seller anymore, bless him, The Rock. Spinebuster's still good. Hi Khalid, how you doing, mate? And yeah, there be a Rock. Imagine how much better this would be if it didn't leak beforehand. Hey, they know how to use those dirt sheets. And while The Rock is soaking it up, Austin Theory's job is just to lay there. He's been AA'd, he's been stone cold stunned, and now he's been people's elbowed. Like, they've got to be high on you to put you into the ring with that caliber of opponent. But you do just get beaten up pretty consistently in that role, don't you? James says, what's the odds The Rock comes back out with a Miz and LA Knight match? Just a feeling. Very low. Typically what happens is The Rock comes down for the opening segment and then he goes home. Okay, he completely forgot how to do an elbow drop there. Did you throw away the man's shoe? That's his shoe. The Rock owes Austin Theory some shoes. So it says, credit where it's due, Theory didn't look out of place there. And I agree. Filled the role of a true expert. As I say, last time The Rock was here, Baron Corbin filled that role. In many ways, to be fair, that's an exact carbon copy. Kieran says, they're like $300 Yeezys. Yeah, I'd imagine The Rock can afford it, but The Rock owes. He owes now. Kieran says he ain't getting that shoe back. Not incorrect. So we're going straight into commercial break. They're advertising the show so far. We have the Grayson Waller Effect with John Cena. We have Asuka versus Bayley. We have LA Knight versus The Miz. It's interesting. It's very rare that you see a full show that's been announced ahead of time. And here we are. Pete says, stick a fork in me, I'm done. Unlike vegetables, where it's eat me, I'm done. And of course, AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. Almost all of Judgment Day shown, a lack of Rhea Ripley there. Dominic Mysterio holding the championship, and just there is so much gold in that picture, and none of it on AJ Styles. Looks like this is how we're opening. My expectation would have been that AJ Styles versus Finn Balor would have been the main event, but it looks like that's either going to be the women's match or the Grayson Waller Effect now. No Rhea Ripley with the Judgment Day. I'd imagine she's just selling injuries from Nia Jax. Can't guarantee that, but I'd imagine. I like the variation in the grip there. Damian Priest with a belt hanging at his side. James says he can see they actually trust Theory. I think he's the next face of the company. I don't think he'll be a face for a very long time. Thomas says, do you think that'll be the last we see of The Rock? No, I think at some point he'll be on TV again, just not necessarily tonight. Joey says, AJ versus Finn is going to be a banger. It depends. If they're planning to make this a long-term feud, which they seem to be leaning towards, what you'll get tonight is just a tease of what they can do if you give them time. They won't be given long enough. Kieran says, it would be awesome to see Roman versus The Rock, but if it happens at Philly, Roman's probably holding that title for another year. Yeah. The Rock would not win. Pete says, a few people saying Nia is still unsafe to work with. By a few people, do you mean anyone actually in the wrestling business or just fans? Now, as you know, when it comes to matches, I do like to ask you guys to rate the match to let me know if you enjoyed what we've just seen and give it a rating out of 10. We didn't have a match there, but we did have a promo segment, an opening promo segment featuring The Rock. So what do you think? Rate out of 10 that opening promo segment. Did it help Austin Theory? Did it help really excite you for the show in general? Or did it just pop a rating and not really deliver anything of worth? What did you give it out of 10? Thomas says, I'm hoping we see an interaction with the Bloodline. I'm confident we won't, but we'll see how it goes. Kieran says, I've got a feeling Roman's going to beat Hogan's reign now. James says, they wouldn't bring back someone who deliberately hurts people. Deliberately, no. Pete says, Stevie Richards put a video on YouTube saying it was dangerous. Certainly that is someone inside the wrestling business, so absolutely fair. Kieran says, even Asuka has stuck up for Nia the last couple of days on Twitter. Sai says, relative to all other openings, I'd have to give that a 10. Not sure how they top that anytime soon. Sai does love a good opening. Jack gives it an 8. Eric says, Tom, how did Austin lose a shoe? Didn't lose a shoe. He got a shoe taken from him and thrown into the crowd. Thomas gives it a 10 out of 10, said it was electrifying. Bayley says 8 out of 10, mostly a pop. Rock doesn't look like he's in shape. Disagree with that, it's The Rock. The Rock always looks like he's in shape. Gomar gives it a 9. Ronan Connor, welcome to the show, gives it a 9.5. The question is, for anyone just joining us, what did we make of that opening segment? That opening segment was, of course, the return of The Rock to SmackDown, Pat McAfee being his herald, and Austin Theory his opponent. Plays out very similarly to Becky Lynch being the herald challenged by Baron Corbin before the arrival of The Rock on the opening SmackDown on Fox. That does seem to me to be a clear message sent to Fox, who look like they might be dropping out of the running when it comes to new TV deals. This is an opportunity for them to essentially say, hey, you cannot drop us from our programming, you might miss out on The Rock. Pete gives it a 100 out of 10, which is not quite how numbers work, but I'll take it. Blue says, I knew Cena and Rock would come back with a strike on. You had too much faith in them, Tom. I did. You're absolutely right. I had too much faith. Eric says, is Pat back full time? No. Kieran says, The Rock's been in shape since he was like 14. He did seem to get in better and better shape. When he was actively a wrestler, he was in good shape, but he wasn't in great shape like this. So I said, some new names. Welcome aboard, guys. Good to see you. James says, a 7-month feud between The Rock and Theory is something I'll definitely enjoy. And a 7-month feud is something you will definitely not be getting. Joey says, is this WWE's way of trying to get Fox to pay it when the TV deal is up? I feel like I've explained that about as well as I can. Adam, I asked you to do something for me earlier and you completely failed. If you want to return to this community, tell me why you want to return to this community. Alyssa says the same thing you said earlier. Alyssa, I do not understand what you're trying to say here. You say The Rock take Cody Rhodes' spot WrestleMania 40. Do screw over Cody Rhodes. Who do screw over? Will says, call me crazy, but I still don't think him and Roman won't happen. You don't think it won't happen, so you think it will happen. Chris says The Rock was born in shape. I won't go that far. A lot of work goes into what The Rock looks like. A lot of work. The dude said that was an electrifying way to kick off the TKO merger. And of course you have to throw in the word electrifying because it's The Rock. Kieran says in the last couple of years, Theory has been in the ring with The Rock and Stone Cold. Got to be awesome for him. You didn't even factor in John Cena there, who also stepped into the ring and lost at WrestleMania against Austin Theory. We're getting our first bit of a recap. We're about to hit the half-hour mark to why we're seeing AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. Solo Sikoa naturally very involved in this storyline as well. We are likely to see him soon. Eric says, do you feel like The Rock interrupts Waller Effect because of their Twitter beef? No. I feel like The Rock is done for the night. Based on what you guys are excited about, you think The Rock's going to interrupt basically every segment in the rest of the show. Brad says that was an electric opening. Again, lots of use of the word electric. It's like you know who you're talking about. Kieran says Rock doesn't want the Waller rub. Rock's not big on getting rubbed. He's also not big on giving the rub. He has a bit of an edge about him. And by that I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people who step into the ring with The Rock end up further down. Alyssa says, do you think Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns will happen if The Rock is back? The Rock isn't back. The Rock turned up for one show. Let's not read too much into it, guys. James says, The Rock made his millions for the 20 minutes is going straight to the bank now. I don't think he will have been paid for that, to be honest. I don't think he will. I think that's him doing a favour for his buddy Triple H. Which is not unfair. Triple H very deserving of it. And The Rock is a firm wrestling fan. He will be watching. We have 32 viewers at the moment and 14 likes. Please do remember, a little thumbs up goes a long way. And if you're able to give me one more, that gets us up to 15 and could potentially continue the growth of this channel. It has a snowball effect. The more engagement there is, the higher the chat rate, the more likes we have, the more you will see people joining this channel and the more you will see this channel growing. We recently hit a new record, breaking 5,000 subscribers. And at the moment, we continue to work towards converting those into viewers. Thank you everyone who's joining us so far. Pete says Rock would do it for nothing. I suspect, indeed, he did. Finn Balor's on the outside. So far, so good for this match. Decent high tempo. We're going into another commercial break pretty quickly. The old-fashioned 20-minute opening segment, not really a thing anymore with the age of advertising that we live in. Brad says Triple H and The Rock have been friends for years and some seem to forget that. Yeah, a lot of people forget it because a lot of people still think it's real. And Chris says, I got to say so much for The Rock listening to his buddy Brian Gerwitz, by the way. Can you clarify what you're meaning there, Chris? I don't really understand the reference. So, we are live with Smackdown. At the moment, we are in the middle of AJ Styles versus Finn Balor, and I do not see a world in which we get a full match here, but certainly they will hype us up. I'm interested to see how this plays out. My suspicion is that Judgment Day right now are the spoilers, and that in Saudi Arabia, we will see Roman Reigns versus AJ Styles, now that the issues with Paul Heyman have been soothed. Now, in the meantime, this also could affect War Games, where I suspect we may be building towards Bloodline, Judgment Day, OC. I would very much enjoy that, especially when you factor in that you could also include, even just on the SmackDown side, Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. You give me that, where we have Roman, Solo and Jimmy versus Finn, Damian and Dominic versus AJ, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows versus Bobby Lashley, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, and all I'll say is I will have a very, very good day. What combination of people and factions would you be putting in War Games? James says, don't you think it's awesome how everyone got their hopes up thinking Roman and Rock last year and it doesn't happen all year? So everyone gives up and then now he comes back and everyone's getting their hopes up again. Happens this time every year, doesn't it? Every year. Thomas says, AJ looks in great shape, by the way. He's been having a bit of a break recently. He's not being used too much on TV. And that's given him a chance to really spend a bit of time on rest and just recuperate. And now, of course, naturally, bulk the hell up. Chris says, Brian Gowitz a couple weeks ago on Busted Open Radio made the suggestion that Rock not show up on WWE TV due to his involvement in the SAG-AFTRA strike. It is questionable, the fact that The Rock has appeared. It's not exactly as supportive as he could be. It's technically a different company, but ultimately they should still be represented by SAG-AFTRA. That's how it should be. What I will say is that wrestlers are not represented by any union, and if they attempt to be at any point, especially under Vince McMahon, they would be kicked straight out so fast that they wouldn't even have a moment for their feet to hit the ground. Union busting is pretty rife in any company run by Vince McMahon. Okay, so interesting thing, I've just seen a comment on one of my shorts from Joshua Mann says, The Rock confirmed he's facing Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 14, possibly beating him and have another title run. Epic. I'm just going to have to clarify. He didn't actually confirm that. He said another WrestleMania was coming, suggesting he's open to it. No match has been booked. Gotta be clear in these situations, gotta be clear. You can't really let people think things which you can't guarantee. Joey says, I think we'll see Cody, KO and Sammy involved in the War Games match with the Judgment Day. Okay. I always forget about what's happening on Raw because there's so many good options on SmackDown already. So says, sometimes I like to take stock and reflect that it's another day in which WWE is not owned by the Saudis. Tom was the only journalist I know with the integrity to say that if that had happened, he was out. Yeah. Absolutely. I couldn't support that. Much like I can't. If I was a Newcastle Football Club supporter, I'd be out. I don't understand why more people aren't. Chelsea, also owned by Saudis. It was Martin clued me into that one quite recently. Gordy said, what's up, Tom? Little late, but I enjoyed the Rock segment, with the exception of Fox censoring that crowd chant like crazy. Yeah, they definitely turned it down, didn't they? It was quite funny. James said, I think it's also an insane way of selling tickets and getting ratings, so everyone will be watching to see if he shows up again. Will says, I meant to say, I don't believe Rock vs. Roman will happen at WrestleMania 40. Blue says, if wrestlers are ever going to unionize, the time is now. Union busting is getting pushback. Finally, if it's found to happen, there's no vote. The union is simply recognized. You say that. But here's the thing, okay? They are still classified as independent contractors. Vince McMahon doesn't need to have a reason to fire them. Okay, Adam, what we got? Adam says, the sole reason I want to return to the community is because I want to be in a group where I can talk about WWE with other people, because I don't know a lot of people and it's where I can feel at home. Those are some good reasons. I respect the reasons you've given there. I want you to remember why we had the issue that we had. Outside of that, let's give it a shot. Okay? I'm open to it. A bit of time's passed. Joey says, do you boycott everything Saudi related? I try to. I don't know 100% who owns what, let's be fair. I gotta say, Martin only recently clued me into what's going on at Chelsea. Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio have been kicked out. Very much suggests to me that we might be about to see Solo Sikoa. Kieran, follow the money. Thomas says, personally would prefer Cody versus Roman at the next Mania, where Cody finishes the story, and have The Rock versus Roman at the following Mania, as makes the match less predictable. I don't see it. Too much in future. If they get a chance at The Rock, they should get him. It was not Solo, it was Jimmy Uso. The match goes to a 1-2-3. Not the most fun. Bayley says, WWE won't accept a union, but to be fair, neither will AEW. True. AEW said all of the right things and then continue to do exactly what WWE does. Blue says, I agree it would be difficult, but with the current UFC court case, the independent contractor thing might be dead soon. We'll see how that goes. That is a win for Finn Balor, a man who has not won a lot of matches recently, I'll tell you that. They are once again hyping Grayson Waller and John Cena. They're definitely trying to keep hold of fans right now and trying to get that rating up. Jack says, I think Cody versus Roman is over. Blue says, if they get The Rock, Roman should just pull double duty. We did talk about that this time last year, where there were definitely suggestions that it was going to be happening. The Rock on night 1 to pick up a loss, and then Cody Rhodes to pick up a win on night 2. Naturally, things did change when people were not available as they needed to be. James says, lots of football clubs are owned by Saudis, that's why they can spend the money they do and still perform poorly with no consequences. That's true, Kieran. That's true. But having a majority investment in a company means that you own it. Adam says, thank you, I won't disappoint. I understand I was asking too much repetitive questions about Bray Wyatt, and if Vince is going to fire Bray like 15 different times, I appreciate you, Tom. Thanks. Yeah, that is exactly what was happening. I appreciate you bringing that in and making it clear. We understand each other. Okay? Let's go. We'll see if we need to have future conversations, but I'm more than willing to be open on this one. Sai gives the match a 6 out of 10. I am confident they did not exactly go full tilt there. The tempo was good, but the commercial break and the fact that it was actually quite short, time likely cut based on The Rock going over, I'm giving it a 5. I wasn't impressed. I know what these guys can do. That ain't it. Sai gives the match a 6 out of 10. Peter gives it a 7. Thomas said, have you seen the video that shows a half-empty Rampage arena, worrying that AEW are not selling out in the US? Not necessarily. I mean, not necessarily. When it comes to Rampage and the like, it's not the number 1 show. It's the number 3 show at the moment. And if you had NXT in arenas like that, they wouldn't sell out either. Kervin says, Austin Theory is probably happy he has a segment with a Rock. It's a win. It is a win for him, and it's a benefit for him. I do have some concerns, though, mostly because while it is a showing of faith, we've seen too often that it doesn't go anywhere. And it really genuinely goes absolutely nowhere. When he wrestled the match against John Cena and beat him at WrestleMania, that was a big moment. When he got the stunner from Steve Austin, that was okay. Was a good replay moment. This with The Rock, didn't really get much out of it. Kieran says, fair enough. I guess it's literally impossible to avoid Saudi on stuff as they invest in PayPal, Starbucks, all gay companies, etc. Yeah, and that's the thing. I try to avoid it, but you're absolutely right. Saudi money is everywhere. Everywhere. As a UK citizen, our government is partly funded by selling weapons to Saudi Arabia. So, by being a UK citizen, I'm, let's say, compromised. Sai says, I live in Newcastle. The excuses for looking the other way are painful. Same with Chelsea for those clued in. If Putin bought Liverpool, they'd soon make their feelings known. They would. And unfortunately, while naturally, as you expect, I would be out, I don't necessarily think the majority of fans would, because the majority of fans would look at it as, we've got all the money now, we're going to win all the matches, because that's all that really matters, isn't it? Eric says, you don't think Punk looked better after his feud with The Rock? No. Not at all. That was the end of the summer of Punk, and afterwards he never really looked like a threat. Blue says, AEW's biggest problem is they only have a few cities that do decent repeat business. Pardon me. And then they run those into the ground and they can't even draw there. Disagree on that one. I agree with what you're saying, but I don't think it's their biggest problem. Their biggest problem is that if you tune into AEW on a whim, there's no reason for you to stay. You don't know what's going on. Gotcha, Thomas. Appreciate that. It was dynamite. That's the A show. The Rock and Pat McAfee are backstage. Celebrating the people. I'm muting the word asshole. John Cena and The Rock running into each other backstage. There's going to be a hug here. I like hearing The Rock say, "I see you try to smile." We move to Jimmy Uso. I can see Paul Heyman lingering in the background. I think I see Finn Balor in his championships back there. I do like that they always just have extras walking around. Judgment Day and Bloodline looking a bit too friendly. I don't think Roman's going to like that. Could be a nice wreck everyone and leave moment. Blue says, "Sorry, Tom. I was talking just about ticket sales. I agree Dynamite feels a bit directionless most of the time, which is strange considering how long some feuds go. The long-term storytelling is good. The issue, though, is that they can't catch a casual." Is that John Cena AJ Styles issue? Is that the plan? John Cena and AJ Styles versus Jimmy and Solo? Eric says, "Fun fact, Austin Theory was a freshman in high school last time we saw The Rock before today." I don't believe that. We saw The Rock on the opening Smackdown on Fox in 2019, only 4 years ago. LWO are in the ring. Rey Mysterio holding his championship. Zelina Vega's just a whole mood nowadays, isn't she? Santos Escobar in full suit looks amazing. Sai says, "The Judgment Day Bloodline story is heating up nicely in time for War Games. I can hope. Been calling for it all year," and you are right. James says, "There's no way Ray got a jobber entrance. The Rock's here." When The Rock's here, no one else gets a look in. You know this. Bayley says, "WWE should have more people lurking in the background. Remember when Nikki Cross would just appear in random backstage segments?" Yeah, I like that. There was always some sort of background story. I'd love it if they did the Beetlejuice thing from Community. Rey Mysterio is devastated and heartbroken. He's putting over the LWO, which suggests to me he's about to be kicked out. Blue says, "The Rock's return, not being promoted, but also kind of getting out because brought it up with Pat. Feels like they missed a chance for a really big number." No, they didn't need to promote it. They leaked it to the dirt sheets, so it got out. That's all the advertising you need. Kieran says, "According to Google, freshman is 14 to 15, so that would be 11 years ago." Yeah, that didn't happen. Adam says, "It's nice to see Austin Theory's built up well in the Triple H era. At first, when Triple H took over, he was going nowhere. But you're right, Tom, it literally at times went nowhere." That is true. There was definitely a couple of moments when he was on the down and a little bit buried. He's recovered okay. I can't really sit here and say he's doing amazingly or doing fantastic work, but he's doing good stuff. Santos Escobar putting over his man. These two are definitely going to wrestle. Santos is asking for a title shot. Ray will agree, I'm sure. I'd imagine this will be next week. Sai says they're going to be getting jobber entrances in Cunningham all night. And The Rock made reference to them trying to wrap up his promo. He does what he likes, and he's earned it. Match has been accepted. Blue says dirt sheets are big for wrestling fans, but casuals watching football on the weekend seeing The Rock would be on would be even bigger, in my opinion. Oh, Okay, here's the thing. Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits right now can do no wrong. And I mean no wrong. I'm hyped for anything. Anything that they do. But this is even better. Joey says, I thought they were going to save this for Mania. No. That's way too far. Huge chant for Bobby Lashley. He uses it well. Lauren, welcome, says The Rock returning with a shock. Was linked to dirt sheets, so got about a little bit, but wasn't properly confirmed. Kevin says, I don't understand why WWE want to do Asuka vs Asuka next week's SmackDown, but not pay-per-view. Well, they've been building to it for a long time. I'd imagine it's not going to be the definitive match. It's going to be Street Profits versus LWO. Bobby Lashley was still cutting a promo and they've just cut him off for the music. Yeah, we got a commercial break. They are rushing everyone. Bobby Lashley had more to say. The Rock's thrown them all off. Lauren says, can we expect Roman versus Rock at Mania? Nope. And also says, is Becky on NXT now? Yep. Nice, easy to answer questions there, Lauren. I appreciate it. Adam says, I did read on Ringside News, bad start, but forgot what source. Appreciate that. There was going to be some storyline swerves. It was going to be that Rey and Santos would face each other. That's not really news or anything. They're teasing a breakup of the LWO at times, and the story, if the news is there's going to be some swerves, that's not news. It's wrestling. There is always. Lauren says, do you think WWE will be better or worse since Vince left? Depends entirely on your personal opinion. There's no way to objectively say whether a creative work is better or worse with a different writer. No, Lauren, Orton is not rumoured for a return in 2024. Nobody who actually knows anything about the actual situation of Randy Orton is rumouring any return date. Nobody. A lot of people are speculating and guessing, but they are not the people you want to be listening to. Lucha says, Tom, do you think Santos will eventually turn on Rey? Yeah. Lauren says, is Jey Uso a heel now? No. He is the faciest of faces. We are currently at 19 likes as we come towards the end of the first hour with 29 people watching. Can I get one more like? That will take us up to 20. Joey says, Randy's back injury worse than expected. Depends what you mean by expected. Worse than you expect? Don't know. Depends on what you expect. Worse than what I expect? Don't know. Depends on what I expected. Expected is a difficult one to quantify. It's bad. And there was talk of it being a career ender. He doesn't want it to be a career ender. We'll see how it goes. Lauren says, Royal Rumble's in Florida. I'm thinking about attending. I can't because I looked at the prices for the flights and the tickets and it's just quite a lot of money, which I could use instead to help grow this channel. Lauren, by all means catch up. The appearance of The Rock was a lot of fun. I'd certainly watch that opening promo. The opening match not so much, but if you can cut out the commercial breaks, you'll be absolutely flying. You know how these shows tend to go. As long as there's commercial breaks, it's just kind of waiting for them to get over and done with. 10 minutes left and we have a tag team match coming. Street Profits versus LWO. Nice opportunity, of course, for the lesser known and lesser used members of the LWO. Not an opportunity to win though, because let's face it, this is all about Bobby Lashley and Street Profits. They're going to be on TV week in and week out, as is LA Knight, in order to really promote their use as the new hot up-and-comers. We come back and the match is actually already live. They are really cutting time. We had a jobber entrance for the LWO. We had Bobby Lashley silenced ahead of schedule. And we have a match that started before they actually came back to the ring from the commercial break. Lauren says, what did you think of Lana's debut in AEW? It happened. Kind of all I've got. Jade Cargill heading to WWE. Rumoured. Do you watch TNA? No, I don't. Marcel says, do you think the Rock segment went longer? I know the Rock segment went longer. The Rock segments always go long. Every single Rock segment has gone long. Lauren says, I think the Street Profits need a heel turn. That's actively happening as we speak. That match was brief. So, yeah. They are scrambling for time, aren't they? Lauren says, was Rock's appearance a one-off or will he stick around? One-off. Lucha says, I was actually thinking about that when it ended. The Rock and Pat got 20 minutes of TV time on SmackDown. That's a lot of time. Yes, it is. Bobby Lashley encouraging them to keep up the beatdown, which they do. Escobar and Mysterio corner them. Bobby Lashley says no. I reported previously this new faction was going to be heels. That's exactly what has happened. Adam says, I honestly see Priest cashing in on Rollins successfully, not leaving Judgment Day, and Solo facing Roman at 40. I want it to be carrying Cross. He will not be carrying Cross under any circumstances. Joey says, geez, what a squash match. Didn't even last a minute. And P says, they only went for a wee. What the happened? The Rock happened. Not yet, Lauren, not yet. Not yet. So we're heading into our draw segment. I would imagine that's going to be Grayson Waller. Up next. No, LA Knight and The Miz are going to be our draw segment. The next match will be LA Knight versus The Miz. That to me suggests that Grayson Waller and John Cena will be the main event. So I said that I have absolutely no idea how to rate that match. A free seems fair. We didn't get anywhere near enough of it. Nobody really got to show what they could do. But obviously they were actively wrestling, so we can't give it a 0 or anything like that. But it wasn't enough. Wasn't enough. How do you rate that match out of 10? Let's see your scales. Lauren predicts a heel turn for Bianca. Again, I've reported that one previously as well. I've reported that they're building towards Bianca versus Charlotte. A large part of that will be a heel turn for Bianca Belair and maintaining the face position of Charlotte Flair. Now that sort of flies in the face of a lot of what they've done over history. Bianca Belair has been pushed as a face for most of her time on the main roster, and Charlotte Flair has been pushed as a heel for most of her time on the main roster. But that is what they want to go with, a bit of a change, a new, more aggressive version of Bianca, and Charlotte Flair is a top-level face similar to Becky Lynch. We'll see how that goes. Lucia says the tag match was in the Tokyo Dome. I would have given it 6 stars easily. Why? You're not Dave Meltzer. Adam says, Tom, I know your favourite wrestler is Triple H. What is your favourite currently on TV? Jay White. Jay White. I was wearing a Jay White shirt earlier, but nowadays I'm wearing a Red Panda t-shirt. For those who don't know, I like Red Pandas. Lauren says, I think Io will turn face soon upon her upcoming feud with Asuka. Again, I've reported previously, quite recently, that Io Sky will be turning face. Logically, though, I don't think it will be Asuka that does it. I think it will be Bayley turning on her out of jealousy, leading to a match between Io and Bayley, which may well be a WrestleMania match. We'll see how it plays out. But I think Io versus Bayley is where they're headed now. P says, I'm getting into Will Ospreay. He is superb. He is very, very talented. Every match he has is worth watching. And if you can catch a Will Ospreay versus Shingo Takagi match, I highly, highly recommend it. The two just have a natural chemistry that's beautiful to watch. Lauren, no, Triple H will not likely be inducted into Hall of Fame until he full-on retires. Kervin says, AJ Styles vs Finn Balor, cup time for the match. Kervin, why are you saying that? Is there a source for that, or is that just your opinion? So I said, they're scrambling for time. Unless the Rock segment was a really late decision, how do you not give him 20 minutes? Well, he wasn't originally planned when they put the script together, but it's The Rock. I know, but he always goes over. Do you remember when Brock Lesnar beat Kofi Kingston in 8 seconds? Large part of that was to do with The Rock. If you've watched that show, you'll know that the first 20-25 minutes is just The Rock, Becky Lynch and Baron Corbin. Then everything after that is about 2 minutes long. It feels Attitude Era. It's really shoved together. Lauren, that happened. The Rock and John Cena did run into each other. There's also a Pat McAfee involved, but that's not going to be mentioned much. They are pushing the announcement of the Royal Rumble in Tampa, Florida. I've been to Florida, but I've never been to Tampa. Is it nice? January 27th as well, nice. I like how many of the different companies used certain pictures. It was nice to see Rhea Ripley involved, but we know it's all about Roman and Cody. Lauren, when is SmackDown in St. Louis? Because the answer is most likely no. They're not going to tease you with something that might never happen. It feels very strange. I've gotten used to Michael Cole and Corey Graves as a unit. It's very strange having Kevin Patrick in the middle actually calling things. Okay, they're really starting to fall apart on these draw segments. We're very close to the draw segment, and what we're getting is the match flow recap of The Miz and LA Knight. I know it's a bit hypocritical that I will be annoyed that they don't do recaps on AEW where I need them to know what's going on in the storyline, but they do almost too many on WWE. They are important though. They are pushing LA Knight as a face now, by the way. The entire feud with The Miz is meant to be his face turn. And it's working out pretty well. When they cut to the crowd, whenever you're doing your catchphrase, when they have the hype segments and they show people cheering, that's how you know they're a face. Lauren, personally, my favourite commentary team probably is Michael Cole and Corey Graves over the last year. The two are genuinely electric together. And it's one of those things where you don't feel like they care to be silenced. You don't feel like they're being fed lines. It feels natural. It feels like there's chemistry. It feels like they actually like each other. Pat McAfee and Michael Cole was also very good, but for me, Corey Graves and Michael Cole was where it's at. This is a big hype package. It's eating up a lot of time. And when you consider that they're squashing matches all together, this is awkward. So I said, are these recaps just a sponsorship thing? I have no idea what progressive match flow means. Progressive is an insurance company, I believe. So yeah, that is a sponsor thing. But the match flow is just a way of making it work. It's like when they used to have the WWE Slam of the Week. They then moved on to sponsoring it. Like the Slim Jim Slam of the Week or stuff like that. Bayley says, Michael Cole sees the odd man out in this announcing trio. I get it that WWE needs an eventual successor to Cole. Yeah, and they're working on that one. Lauren likes Graves and Cole. Says, Edge on WWE's internal roster. Yeah. He's out of date though, so they're not using him. Like, he's on the list, but he's not getting in. So he says Kevin Patrick, or Kevin Egan, is a legit sports commentator. His MLS work is actually really good. Logically then he should be the natural successor, and Michael Cole as part of that has to step aside. So a lot of faith being shown in LA Knight right now. He's getting himself a draw segment. Can't really complain of that, can you? No John Cena this time, no special guest referee. I mean, unless you smell The Rock is cooking, but I don't see that one working out to everyone's advantage. I miss the days when Miz came down with Maurice. I get why. Literally, the Miz is walking down and I'm saying Cena's not involved, and then we immediately go to, guess what? John Cena's on tonight in Grayson Waller Effect. They are working really hard to try and keep viewers. They've literally bookended the show with The Rock and John Cena. This is a message to Fox. Not much of a pop for The Miz, which is always a shame in my eyes. There were definitely moments when he was white hot, but he's very much in a position now where he is the Dolph Ziggler of the division. And a Raw superstar. I feel that needs to be pointed out. Good pop for LA Knight, not the best. I do feel like this feud is cooling him off a little bit, but not in a way that should be long-term damaging. Adam says, I hope to see Grayson Waller win a major world title one day, or even better, soon. I find it unlikely soon. The only sort of new generation I can see winning a actual top-level title soon would be Dominic Mysterio. Because, like, he gets so much heat anyway. If they give him the championship, my God, people are going to hate it. It would be so good. Good pop for the catchphrase. No Vlog says, is The Rock going to possibly come back again soon? Possibly. Everything is on the table. Kevin says, are you going to see Dave Meltzer say, I told you Roman vs. The Rock was going to happen? No, because I don't have Dave Meltzer on Twitter. Like, there's a reason for it. If I want wrestling news, I don't need to follow people on Twitter. Like, my Twitter feed is so much better when I started blocking certain journalists. Genuinely cleaned it all up. And when you follow a couple of aggregators, you get all the news anyway. There's no reason to actually commit to one person. Like, I'd never pay for Fightful Select because why would I? All the news that they post within 3 minutes is available for free. Kieran says, if the LA Knight hype does die down, you just put him against Dom. It's easy. True. Not unfair. Blue says, Bron Breakker I could see winning one inside the next couple of years. Same for Roxanne and Cora for the women. Not if they're stuck on NXT, you don't. Adam thinks Rhea could make that happen, which is not unfair. Tiny balls. The crowd are chanting tiny balls. I thought they were chanting saggy balls. I was confused. Eric, because SmackDown's PG. Noah says, will Randy Orton possibly return tonight? No. No. That's not going to happen. I don't know why you think it would. Again with the tiny balls. It's a very effective chant apparently. Fans are really behind it. Joey says it would be cool to see someone from NXT win the Rumble. They would not. Why are you sorry, Noah? Why are you sorry? You're entitled to ask questions. Eric, they were blanking everything. They were just trying to make sure nothing got missed. Pete says, do you have any videos about Randy? I do, in fact. I have quite a few. Lucia says, what's the betting line that Bron Breakker will be promised a main roster spot multiple times again in 2024? I am appreciative that it was at least reported by someone else as well that happened, and I got it confirmed by a different wrestling reporter. Because one of those, I kept saying they're cancelling call-ups, and there was just nothing was being confirmed, so it was nice that somebody eventually got it. Blue says, that's the thing about wrestling news. I feel like it's mostly aggregated who take others' reports as gossip. Well, unfortunately, when it comes to wrestling and news in general, everybody's a gossipy bitch. Tempo's good so far. LA Knight has hit a couple of his signature moves. The Miz trying to take over at this point. Noah says, I hope The Rock enters the Rumble to win it to face Roman. I found that extremely unlikely. Bayley says a sizable part of the WWE fan base is not following NXT. This is why NXT stars often arrive at main roster with no buzz. It's also why at the moment they've got Dominic working there, Baron Corbin working there, Ali, and of course now Becky Lynch to try and draw in those viewers. James says, I feel like Bron Breakker's call-up has been going on for years and has just never happened, which is accurate. Joey says, the creative team struggling that bad to come up with something for Bron Breakker? Nope, it's not creative. It's not the creative team. I think LA now is supposed to be rolling through there. Didn't quite manage it. Chris says, I was watching SmackDown on my PVR, but because of fast forwarding through commercials, I've caught up to everyone. Lovely. Lovely. Welcome to the draw segment, man. Adam thinks LA Knight will be Money in the Bank winner in 2024. Personally, I don't see it. Blue says I meant gospel, not gossip, but the mistake worked out with your hilarious response. Thank you, Blue. Appreciate that. I get what you're saying. What you see a lot of is aggregators taking the opinion or speculation of another wrestling reporter and reporting that as news. It's awkward. Awkward for everyone involved. This match is good. They're hitting the high hitters. I think the lack of time is helping them. James says, I feel like fans blame creative for everything, but they don't get a say in every single thing that happens. Yeah, the creative team have no control over call-ups. None whatsoever. P says, do you think LA's too prone for botches, or is it just me? He has botched a couple of times. I think potentially he's a little over-ambitious at times. Okay, we have another commercial break. I'm liking the match. This is probably the best match of the night so far. Hopefully the women's match, which should be our final wrestling match, will outstrip this, and I think potentially so. I think ultimately LA Knight and The Miz got a little bit of heat for the low quality of their match at Payback. It wasn't the strongest match on the card anywhere close, and it did sort of bring down the mood for me as a fan quite a bit. So I'm glad they've upped the tempo here and tried to make a bit more magic happen. Blue, Io and Asuka is next week. It is Asuka versus Bayley tonight. Chris says, as I said before, when gathering stories for my shows on Tuesdays, I always look for multiple sources, and so you should. People forget the two-source rule is not just something for other people. Let's say, for example, Wrestling Inc. reports something. That is one source. They tell you they've got 4 sources. They are still one source. So that's the beauty of wrestling journalists reporting the same thing. That's why I don't get annoyed when people report the same as me, because they're confirming what I've reported. I'd love it if they mentioned that I reported it first, but that's not going to happen. So, you take what you can get. Blue says the Payback match was 5 minutes too long. Should have been a nice short sprint, as neither man is a workhorse. True, and I feel like that's what they're doing now to sort of bring it back into prominence. We are currently on 25 likes with 28 viewers. 5 more will get us to 30. 1 more will get us to 26, and I'll happily start there. Jack says, do you think Roman's going to break Hogan's record? Still no, but I'm glad you enjoyed that, Adam. Literally, as you say it, the troll returns. We have, I want to say a new troll, but let's be fair. One thing I've experienced a lot is trolls who spend all of their time creating new accounts to continue trolling, because there is just no value in their lives. Just no value whatsoever. Their entire purpose in life is to annoy other people because, well, what else are they going to do? They have no friends. What are they going to do on a Friday night? Go out and spend time with friends? No. No, they're going to sit and be angry. Just so full of hatred. So full of pointless hatred. Say hi to the troll, everyone. Say hi to the troll. Blue, the Hogan record is the championship record held by Hogan. The one that set off the feud of Andre the Giant. The Miz now delivering some kicks to LA Knight. Tyler says hi, troll. Chris says, I kill trolls in my video games. We like to say hi to them. We like to say hi. Then shortly afterwards, we like to say bye. I don't know. It's one of those things. Trolls don't realise how helpful they are nowadays. All sites are built on engagement. So a troll just coming in here and whining and crying is actually genuinely very helpful. Like, bless them, they just subscribed. Like, I know eventually they're going to unsubscribe, but they're helping this channel succeed. It's the most ridiculous thing. Okay, just says, damn, what's up, Tom? What a show we're having, guys. Been a good one so far, I'll say that. No, Blue, you have to remember, Hogan does have a championship record. It's just not the longest record. Tyler says, Troll, hit the like button. Eric says, hi, Troll, as well. Juana Roscoe, immediately getting something wrong here. To say, Tom, according to Andrew Zarian from Peter Insider. Nope. Andrew Zarian is Wrestling Observer. AEW is apparently getting a TV and streaming deal. Thoughts? My thoughts are already on spoiler warning earlier today about the opportunity for Max. Not quite, Adam. Not quite. Jack says Hogan's record is 1,474 days. Chris says it gets us the views. It gets us a chat rate, which then gets us the views. Marcel also says, hi, Troll. The Troll is claiming to be deserving of respect. You don't deserve respect. You deserve absolutely nothing. You are a pointless human being. Utterly pointless. You offer no value to anything in the world. Apart from my chat rate, please do keep going. Adam says, hi, Troll, bye, Troll. So we are still live with LA Knight versus The Miz. They do still have a good tempo going to it. There are a couple of sloppy moments, but I think LA Knight really needs someone to feud with, like a Randy Orton, a sort of a classical name who wrestles in a more classical style. A Bobby Roode would be helpful now if he was still with the company. A John Cena would be fantastic. Eric says Roman held the Universal Championship longer than everyone else put together. I think so. I'm not entirely sure on that one, to be honest. But certainly he's had it a lot. I know Brock Lesnar had it a long time, but it's been around since 2016. Roman's had it since 2020. So I don't think put together, but I don't think he's far off. LA Knight kicking out there. I love how they're always stunned when someone kicks out of a not finisher. Fans are getting into it and enjoying it. It's definitely a much better match than the one at Payback. I don't feel there's... It's interesting because certainly there's love for LA Knight, but there's also a lot of tiny balls chants. And this is where it's difficult to work out whether people are cheering for the face or just against the heel. The Miz, of course, being top quality in the heel department, you can't really question it. The man knows how to deliver. Oh, Adam, I don't sweat the trolls. I hope I don't seem like someone who sweats the trolls. The trolls are helpful. And usually once you explain that to them, they go quiet, but they still stay on watch. Like, they still stay and watch. Like, I unsubscribed. That'll show you. I've lost nothing. Absolutely nothing. You've not derailed. I'm telling people how YouTube works, and I'm still watching wrestling. You've literally accomplished nothing. Now, or at any point in your life. Bless them. We can be nice. We can be not nice. We can mock, and we can joke. That's my plan. LA Knight has got himself a microphone. Match quality wise, I'm giving that one an 8. I genuinely quite enjoyed that. The pace was good. There was a lot of hard hitting moves. And at no point did I feel bored in any way, shape or form. The Miz can perform at a very high level. He doesn't always, but he can. I feel like both men had a point to prove there and proved it. I'm giving that match an 8. Let me know what you thought out of 10 for that match. LA Knight's going to do some chatting. The Rock got to talk, so naturally LA Knight follows up. Pete gives the match an 8 also. Marcel giving it a 7.5. Adam just giving the match a 10. Just going absolutely ballistic. Losing his mind. So LA Knight is saying it doesn't matter. He's mentioned a lot of Raw people there. Kevin says The Miz versus Seth Rollins always has good chemistry. True. Chris says I'm going 8 as well. I still want more out of this. LA Knight name dropping a few champions there. Suggesting very much that he wants a belt. Blue says check in wiki. Roman has held the Universal title for 1,163 days, while everyone else has held it for 1,383. It's genuinely not far off. Sai gives the match a 7. Are we going to The Rock backstage? Nope, we're going to Paul Heyman and Solo Sikoa, who have their eyes on LA Knight. Kieran says 1,219 for everyone else's reign combined. Wiki just says 1,100 plus, so I guess they stopped counting for Reigns' current reign. Interesting, because you two have different figures, but apparently on the same source. Gotcha, Kieran. Okay, I always forget about that. Welcome, Martin. We were talking about you earlier. Very generously gifting 5 channel memberships. Those go to Marcel, to Steve, to Kevin, to Edward Brooks, to Brad Becker as well. Gifted memberships to all 5 of you. Thank you, Martin. I very much appreciate your generosity. Thank you, Pete, as well for celebrating Martin for that. Please, as Pete suggests, be sure to say thank you for the gift. Mine says, sorry I'm late, been dealing with my father. Hope all good in chat as well. All's good, mate. I've had a troll and it's been hilarious. But I hope you're good. Hope you're good, mate. Bayley says, Paul Heyman has added some grey hair of late. He stopped dying. Okay, so it seems like Solo Sikoa is going to go find himself an LA Knight. I also like that Paul Heyman's phone case literally says the bloodline. Blue says, I checked the Universal title Reigns page on Wiki, not Roman or the main Universal title page, then I used a calculator. Okay, they are again hyping Grayson Waller and John Cena. Oh, Martin, did you miss it? I did say The Rock. You might want to rewind when you watch this one. So we have another commercial break. We have our women's match. That being Asuka versus Bayley. And then we'll likely finish with Grayson Waller and John Cena. Grace says, I think Heyman should just shave it all off at this point. He goes through phases, to my knowledge. He goes through phases where he wants one thing, wants another thing. He's a very busy man. James says, I heard John Cena is on the Grayson Waller Effect. Any truth to that? Little bit, yeah. Little bit. More than you'd think. Blue says, and Roman is on 1,100 days for his current reign today. Exactly. His other reign was 63. Joey says they better have something big planned for the Cena and Waller segment with the amount of times it's been advertised. It depends. From what I can tell, they essentially said The Rock will bring in viewers, John Cena will keep them. All the way to the main event? Brave. But they're doing what they can. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's hit like on this live stream. We have just hit 30 likes. Earlier on today we managed to hit 80 as well, and a spoiler warning, so things are going really well at the moment in the like area. We did start the day on 5,225 subscribers. We're currently a little bit higher than that on 5,228, though one of them is a troll, so will likely vanish over the next period of time. What we're doing at the moment, as I mentioned earlier, we did use a little bit of YouTube advertising to test that algorithm, to test that system. That did bring us up to reaching 5,000 subscribers. The job now is seeing how many of them stay, because they came for certain videos. Once they see the rest of my content, hopefully they're going to enjoy and stick around. But I expect we are going to see those numbers diminish ever so slightly over the next few months as we get closer to Christmas. Thankfully, we'll still be doing shows. We'll still be finding some viewers along the way. Adam says, hey Tom, in your opinion, who do you see dethroning Roman? I hope Solo. Jack says, not sure where they're getting those numbers from. Okay, you guys need to talk about this between yourselves. Martin says, anyone who doesn't know about Tom's news, check out Strictly Business. Tom's news on cities bidding for shows is confirmed. Tom is 1000%. I appreciate that, Martin. Very nice of you. We did talk about this earlier. And yeah, the cities bidding for shows for WWE, I've been reporting on that one for a little while. The continentalization plan as well. This is a Nick Khan opportunity and option, which I'm very excited to see him take. Ricky says, I hope they're not doing Roman and The Rock. Tom, do you think they are? I think they want to. I don't think they're going to succeed. Blue says, Tom, I do love the variety in which you handle trolls. I try and keep it interesting. Trolls aren't the enemy. If you're on Twitter, for example, trolls literally help your show grow. On Monday, we had a show, a spoiler warning, with more than 100 people in there. A large part of it was a 28, 25, something like that, people who clicked the link on Twitter. The reason that link got out there is because I had trolls. Yeah, it was alright, Martin. Lowbrow troll. Didn't really succeed with anything. Like, some of them are at least entertaining. I remember a TikTok troll that I would like... I started to actually enjoy the banter a little bit. It was actually quite fun. But then they stopped. They kept saying, I'm the only person watching your videos, when I was getting like 1,000, 1,200 views. Just not paying attention. Man says, was it true on the report about Rock versus Roman for Mania 39? Then WWE cancelled it. Depends what you mean by that. Essentially what happened was The Rock and Vince McMahon came together and said, hey, we should do a match at WrestleMania. And then everyone stopped talking about it and got on with their lives. And The Rock wasn't available. So it's really not as big a deal as it's been made out to be. But hey, they needed the viewers. Tyler says, trolls need to do better on their trollish behaviour. There are always better trolls, and there's always another troll. Just unfortunately, at the moment, very disappointing. Pretty deadly backstage of Adam Pearce now. Ryan says, makes me laugh how trolls don't realise they help. So hilarious. Yep. I love it. It's great fun. We briefly boosted up to 39 people here because of a troll and because of your generosity, Martin. The combination really was a big help. Also, funnily enough, because I've got this set to anyone and not actually subscribers only chat, you don't have to subscribe, but they keep doing it. Every time I block them, they create a new account, come in and subscribe. You're just helping. Funny, Martin, funny. They're using the pretty deadly injury quite well, I feel. Keeping it interesting. Talking Rich Holland and Butch. Also, the arm is clearly fine. The arm is clearly fine. Hard to say, Blue. I like the chill, laid-back nature of the PLE live streams. I don't like spending 5 or 6 hours not going to the bathroom. Spoiler warning for me, the most high-paced, but also they attract the most idiots. So, I don't know. Bayley says Rick Boog's coming back. Creative hiatus at the moment. They're showing the appearance of Asuka from last week. Io Sky just completely thrown off. And another pinfall for Shotzi over Bayley. Now Bayley is of course out for some revenge. We're building towards Asuka versus Io, which logically might well be when we see Kairi Sane again. Kairi Sane is written in both their histories. Dakota Kai wearing a Bayley t-shirt, and apparently Io Sky not there. Chris says we're definitely in Bob Orton territory of that injury. Man knew how to be injured. Okay, this is pure exposition right now. Pure exposition. She even put a little twist on Asuka's name. I respect it. Dakota Kai's the best. When I say the best, I mean it. Sean said, did you know that Nia was backstage at Raw and that she would be returning on Raw? No, I went to bed, mate. I don't get a lot of news for Raw because people know I'm in bed. I'll usually be asleep before they even know who's backstage. Ryan says, is Becky winning NXT title for Jade Cargill? No connection. They can't make plans for someone who isn't contracted to WWE, so they didn't. We talked about it at length on Spoiler Warning. So up next, our final match of the night. Asuka versus Bayley. A good opportunity for Asuka to build some momentum going into her championship match with Io Sky. No worries, mine. Don't worry about it. It's just that, you know, that's where it is. Blue says, as one who has listened to Meltzer for years, I feel the AEW bias really tipped this week with the all-out number. He's treating it differently than he has WWE ones. Interesting. What? In what way, Blue? Can you give me any more detail on that? Oh, one sec, guys. I gotta crick my neck. Martin says, NXT did over 800k viewers. They're trying to make it a third proper brand now, more than developmental. Yeah, pretty much. They essentially just want the money. It would mean they don't have to fire so many of them. Chris says, is there even a deal put out for Jade yet? Nope. Pete says, we'll leave as soon as this match is done. Can't stand the Grayson Waller effect, but hey ho, I respect it. And Sai says, it's intriguing if the Cena Waller segment is the main event, unless I'm forgetting something. No, I'm confident that's our main event. We'll have half an hour left. We'll go straight into the match. It'll last for 10-15 minutes. No commercial break. Grayson Waller effect, 10-15 minutes. Sean says, Bayley and Asuka have history. Asuka was the woman who beat Bayley to start her long NXT reign. Not just that, I believe it was a SummerSlam when it was Asuka versus Bayley. And then Asuka versus Sasha Banks later in the night. I really enjoyed the Asuka Bayley match. I don't think enough credit gets put on Bayley's name, to be honest. Anywhere near enough. James said, is something big going to happen at the end? I don't know. I mean, it's got John Cena in it, and apparently they think that's going to be enough. In the dark on this one, guys, you know it. I don't get the spoilers, and if I do, I wouldn't want them. I like to watch the shows and be surprised occasionally. You've got to remember, I get a lot of news about incoming matches. A lot of news about incoming storylines. Heel turns, blah, 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 blah. Like the Street Profits heel turn. I remember that was reported fairly recently. That went pretty far and wide. It was about 2 weeks after I reported it, but hey, you win some, you lose some. Or in my case, you lose them all, but I suppose, you know, you do what we can. And it's just one of those where we keep waiting to hear what's happening next. And as a wrestling journalist, I know quite a lot of what's coming up next, and it does ruin a lot of the surprises. So when it comes to the individual Raws and Smackdowns, I don't really want to know. Blue says, he's always said, who's he? Meltzer. What matters with the WWE is the amount of paid fans in the building, turnstile being key. He said he could tell it wasn't that full scene on TV, but he still ran with the number. Not TV, I think he was in the building, my bad. Yeah, Dave Meltzer was there. Dave Meltzer was there. Mine says, Tom, check the scripture plate sent you. Yeah, the information about the turnstile number, which suggests that All In actually only had a number in the mid-70,000s rather than the 81,000 that they reported, certainly has been making the rounds, and that comes directly from Wembley itself. Really changes things for me, but they've reported the number of tickets they sold, not necessarily the number of attendees, which if you're reporting an attendance, don't quite work for me. They are still advertising the NFL championships. As usual, no Jacksonville Jaguars in there. But a lot of other options. I can get behind the Bears. Just have us walk around wearing that championship saying, hey, I'm from Chicago. That's how it works, isn't it? We currently have 33 viewers as we get down to 30 minutes left and 32 likes. If we can get 3 more likes, that gets us to 35. So if you're able to, please do consider hitting that thumbs up. We're going to get a bit of a recap of The Rock now. Eric, I don't think there's any particular disrespect there. The PWI is obviously the opinion of the reporters there, and they're entitled to that. Please says, crazy how AEW took a great number like 72,000 and made it a mark against them. Some people won't believe that. And that's the thing. The bias is pretty strong, and some people just will refuse to ever accept that the number reported from Wembley itself in the turnstiles is accurate. They are once again advertising the Grayson Waller Effect featuring John Cena. If they took away these advertisements, The Rock could have had as long as he wanted. As long as he wanted. Oh, you're seeing 34, Chris. That's nice. There's a lot of bouncing around, unfortunately. Judgment Day are backstage. Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio, and a whole load of gold. No Rhea Ripley at the moment. She's selling injuries from Nia Jax. Suggests to me they might be making a plan that involves John Cena. I suggested we might be looking at AJ Styles and John Cena versus Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso. Could always include a few more people in that. Could always get Judgment Day involved. Maybe the Club and John Cena versus Judgment Day and Jimmy Uso. Could see that working. Asuka already down in the ring. Bayley on the way out now. Dakota Kai acting as support. Moral support, but support nonetheless. Blue says, isn't PWI and kayfabe? Not really. Not anymore. Sean says, wouldn't be surprised if Asuka versus EO main events next week. I expect it to. It's a big match. They've been building to it for a long time. I expect something is going to happen there. It's not going to be a clean finish. It's just not. And hey, maybe Kairi's available. Just throwing that out there. I do love how Damage Control represent each other. Dakota Kai currently actively wearing a Bayley tee. Asuka with the green theme today. Kevin Patrick confirming that this is our main event match, which means Grayson Waller and John Cena will indeed be the last segment of the show. Asuka throwing some real hard punches there. Oh, the stamp to the toe is very Randy Orton. I have high expectations of this match. I know what these two can do, and they're kind of already doing it. Sloppy kick there, but there's no wasted motion. None at all. They're just always moving into something. Even just the fall over and the dodge there. Real clear character work. They know what they're doing. Blue says, for the longest time, Becky was the most underrated horsewoman. But after Becky Mania exploded, it definitely became Bayley, who is my personal second favourite, but love them. Personally, I think Bayley was always the most underrated horsewoman. Because by the time she debuted on Monday Night Raw, Becky Lynch was already on SmackDown, becoming the SmackDown Women's Champion. The inaugural, after all. Sean says, maybe next week we find out Dakota is cleared by interfering in the match. Found it unlikely. She's not going to be cleared for a while. As said previously, couple of months and she'll be fine. And then they'll wait for storyline reasons. I expect her to be featured in the Royal Rumble. Another commercial break. Jesus. So far, I'd say this has been a good SmackDown. The Rock popping the opening, the good match between LA Knight and The Miz. I like that it's clear now that we're seeing Street Profits and Bobby Lashley as heels, even though Bobby Lashley did get a cheer. The LWO got at least a good moment, even though they got a jobber's entrance. And you just know this match is going to be a fun one. Bear with me. It's a lot better than some of the SmackDowns previously, where what we've been seeing is just week in, week out, 2 or 3 minute women's matches. This feels like a big deal. And of course, we still have John Cena to look forward to. The Rock, still in the building. Will he be involved? Unlikely. Joey says, Kairi Sane announced a final Stardom match recently. Do you think she's closer to returning? Yes, every day she is closer to returning. I mentioned previously she hasn't formally signed anything yet. An agreement is in place, more so than a deal. But I still have high expectations. Jack says, have you heard anything about who'll be traded to SmackDown for Jay? Not a thing. Not a thing. They are very much keeping this one quiet, and honestly, I'm not sure they've decided. It's not the best way to conduct business, but it doesn't feel like they've decided, which makes the whole thing very questionable. Chris says, I'm still unsure if I could buy Street Profits as heel. Well, give them a shot. I'm interested to see how they play this, because I mean they've got the chops. They just need the opportunity to actually get out there and make it happen. Joey says, I wonder if they'll save her return for the Rumble. Sorry, one sec. And if they'll save her return for the Rumble or do it before. We'll find out shortly. Shortly is debatable. The Rumble's a while away. Sean says, the SmackDown has been better than the one SmackDown that I believe halfway around the Bloodline? I'm not sure what you're saying there. What if one of the women are traded for Jay like Alexa? Alexa is not available or eligible to be traded. She is not in the running. As I reported previously before the actual draft, Alexa Bliss simply not involved in anything at the moment and unlikely to become involved in the days to come. Nor should she be, to be fair. So we're heading back into it now. As I say, I've got high expectations for this match, but the WWE tend not to give you all the good stuff. The idea really is that this is building towards the match with Io next week, which is supposed to be the focus, but just very, very randomly and unusually is. Pardon me. I do find it interesting they're really pushing this Io's off training. I'd imagine she's having a break and she's off in Japan. It makes the most sense for me. Again, very smooth, no wasted motion. Chris says, who even says there's going to be a trade for Jay at all? Cody. Cody made that pretty clear. Pulled in a few favours and there's going to be a trade. Maybe it'll be after a certain amount of time, but at the moment it seems pretty set where we're headed. Asuka with a jelly leg cell. Oh, into a nice armbar. That's a serious armbar. I just love the pace of it. You guys know me, I like it fast and I like it hard. I like it to be hard hitting and high tempo. That's what I meant. That's what I meant. It doesn't really help Bayley stay heel when Dakota Kai is genuinely playing face because she can't get involved. Tyler says, good save. I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean. Well, mine. Also don't know what you mean. You guys are saying stuff. Don't know what you mean. Can't imagine the match is going to last too much longer. Very bad pin by Asuka. You got to do better than that. You got to take it seriously. Corey Graves calling it out there. That was a bad pin. Oh, Bayley survives. I didn't think that one was coming. Taking too long. Oh, I see why you... Gotcha. Going for the ankle lock. See, this is my favourite thing about these two. Chain submissions. They just work so well together. Bayley knows how to leave the leg in. She's very clinical. I was going to say, if Asuka did just eat turnbuckle there, that would have been very awkward for everyone involved. Nearly didn't kick out while she was trying to work out her next step. Back in action. More arm bars. More submissions. Chain submissions. I love them. Rolling to the outside. There's a lot going on here. Just a lot going on. Bit of distance here. Adam says, hey Tom, do you know if WWE had any plans for Braun Strowman when he returns and what they are? The plans were tag team. The landscape is completely different now and it'll still be a little while before he actually officially returns. So I wouldn't hold your breath on that one. We're getting tables involved. More further evidence that Roman's not there. Because if you what? Oh, Shotzi's in the crowd. It's a good push for Shotzi. She's been kept very much in the public eye here. Bayley selling for her nicely. Sean says, isn't this match heel versus heel? Yeah. People forget Asuka's a heel. Sai gives the match a 6 out of 10, says silly finish. I go slightly higher, I go 7 out of 10. You're right, the finish wasn't great, but the tempo was good. I liked the chain wrestling, I liked the submissions. It's just unfortunate that Bayley versus Asuka isn't the story here. It was just very clearly a means to an end. Shotzi heading back into the ring with Asuka. Opportunity for a face turn there. Doesn't look like Asuka's going to take it. They missed the fist bump. They cut to advertise Grayson Waller and John Cena again and they missed the fist bump. That's a face moment. That's leaning towards a face turn and they missed it on screen. Kervin also gives it a 6 out of 10, says it was too long, and Joey, not a fan of Shotzi's new look. I personally do quite like it. I think she definitely stands out. It's very Hellraiser. Oh. Before we go into commercial break, we're advertising Raw, where Jey Uso will take on Drew McIntyre, and we see the overall impact of Nia Jax's return. Mine just says, Kevin Dunn going mad now. He really wants people to know about Grayson Waller and John Cena. He's very important to him. Peter, man of his word, says, I'll catch you all on Monday. Have a great weekend. And you too, Pete. Hope you're doing well. And hopefully we see you soon. Jack says, the show was actually all good. There was no real slowdown tonight. I gave it an 8.5. Well, it's not over yet, mate. It's not quite over yet. But I think you're right. The tempo of the show in general was very high. The Rock should come back more often. If there's one thing The Rock gives us, it's higher tempo. This should be our last commercial break. It is nearly 3 a.m. here. Tom's been a tired boy today. But I've tried the best to entertain. Try the best I can. We do what we can. I think 8.5 is quite generous. I also think it's not unfair. Definitely one of the most memorable SmackDowns. When they want to pop that rating and keep viewers, They know how to do it. It's just that for some reason they so rarely just firmly say, let's keep the viewers, that you sort of give up on them a little bit. You just sort of give up. And that's a shame. But, you do what you can. Maya says, Raw needs some returns like The Rock. How times have changed for shows. Yeah, you're not wrong there. Who would have thought that day would come? Well, SmackDown's the A show now. SmackDown's the number one, because basically wherever there is Roman Reigns, there is the A show. And of course now you've added The Rock to it. Now you've added John Cena to it while Roman Reigns is away taking a break. Admittedly, Raw still have Becky Lynch, but even she's now down in NXT. Trish Stratus, where's she? Raw is losing star power. Absolutely losing star power. But it's okay, they brought in Nia Jax. James says, I wonder if someone's going to show up on Raw. I think they put all their eggs in one basket too soon. Well, Nia Jax just did. So, I don't feel we're celebrating the return of Nia Jax enough. Mine says, I just never imagined Raw being the B show. Remember everyone leaving SmackDown to go to Raw. And that happened on a number of occasions. And yet somehow, still fun. Sean says, have you seen any gameplay of Mortal Kombat 1? No, but I've seen a trailer involving Dave Bautista. And Martin says, Triple H didn't want to work Tuesdays. Nope. There are rumours now that they want to change day again. I don't see it personally, but to each their own. James says Nia Jax is going to save the ratings. Exactly. They are hyping one more time the WWE Women's Championship match. Io Sky defending against Asuka next week. Something big is happening in this one. I have faith. Also next week, Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar versus Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. This I'm excited for as well. They're building a good SmackDown next week too. They'll get more time this time as well. And honestly, the rest go in the tag division now. Mine's more hyped for Mortal Kombat than EAFC 24. John says, now there are fans that don't want Kyrie to come back now that Nia is back. I wouldn't worry about that. Not in any way, shape or form. Because if Kyrie does come back, it'll be for SmackDown, not Raw. Okay, Grayson Waller. We're finally here. The moment has come. Now what do we do with it? The Moment Maker. There's some weird titles here. James says they should make Raw 2 hours and SmackDown 3 hours. Yeah. I think the biggest advantage that SmackDown has is the 2 hours. Grayson Waller's checking on time. He's keeping an eye on the clock. So we have about 10 minutes here. We have John Cena. The Rock in the building. Grayson Waller with a microphone. Where are we going with it though? Wow. Brutal there from Grayson Waller. That says whatever this is, they wanted to give it 10 minutes. I'm interested. Usually Grayson Waller Effect does last quite a bit of time. I'm starting to think Grayson Waller actually believes what he's saying here, which is at least reassuring. Good pop from the crowd there. They like the Cena. Jack says, I believe SmackDown can do 3 hours better than Raw can, since it seems all star power is on SmackDown. Not all star power. No Seth Rollins, no Drew McIntyre, no Becky Lynch, no Rhea Ripley, technically no Judgment Day. So I'm not sure on that one. But it is firmly, yeah, as I said, it is still firmly the A show. Man says, so sad by the way, I still expect Bray to appear and then realise so sad, still can't get my head around it. Yeah, I'm in a little bit of denial myself, and I don't even pretend otherwise. Sean says, good spot for Grayson to be in the main event with John Cena. You can't get better than that, really. As a rising superstar, you can't get better than that. Austin Theory, of course, opening the show with The Rock. Mike says, my prediction for 2024, MJF to Raw. Bold, I know. Not that bold. Not that bold. Depends if you believe all this talk about him chartering a plane and then not getting on it. Like, there was a lot of information there and none of it's confirmed. I do like the sign that says, you can see me. I recognise the gimmick. I wonder if that hairline comment will come back up. James says, I don't think MJF could keep it PG enough for WWE. One show might not be PG for much longer. Sean says, now when fans think John Cena sucks, it's out of respect. I think it kind of always was. It's like Kurt Angle with the you suck. He doesn't. Mine wants MJF versus Cody at Mania. That would be an interesting one. Old guard, new guard of a show that didn't exist even 5 years ago. I wouldn't necessarily say WWE will change because of UFC, but I do think the PG era will go for one show, and one show will go non-PG. A show for grown-ups could be pretty good, and it should be the one where Roman is. Okay, Grayson Waller gathering some heat, getting ready for something. Mine says, imagine TK's face if that happened. These things do happen. Cody Rhodes going to WrestleMania, going to WWE. Nobody was expecting it. Grayson Waller keeps headbutting his tree. That's kind of like it. I think the crowd are tired. Singing with The Rock, John Cena turning up, LA Knight. Energy's a bit lower. Okay, so next week is going to be John Cena and Grayson Waller, isn't it? As I've said previously, John Cena is going to be wrestling in his 2 weeks. 2 months that he's planning. He gave the WWE a list of people he wanted to work with. Grayson Waller was one of them. I don't know if Ospreay would be in WWE. Martin is pretty happy in New Japan. Grayson Waller putting over Austin Theory. There are some nice connections being made between wrestlers now. Mine says Cena versus Waller at Fastlane. It'd be a help. Be a help for both of their careers. John says maybe John. Yeah, he says maybe John Cena versus Grayson Waller. Payback. I meant Fastlane. I mean, why not? The talent's there. I don't recognise that theme. Of course, it's Jimmy Uso's new theme. So, I did mention earlier the possibility of AJ and Cena versus Jimmy and Solo. There's also the possibility, I feel, of Cody and AJ. But at this point, I think Cody, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus versus Judgment Day is more likely. But John Cena's right here. He's right here and you got to use him. Use him or lose him. Jimmy Uso, though, I don't feel he quite belongs in this company. Jey Uso would. Jimmy not so much. Grayson Waller wants to hand him a microphone. He's got 5 minutes. If you got something to say, say it. I didn't realise there was a screen in Grayson Waller's little desk there. Martin says, I just want to see Cody and Roman at Mania 40. So wanted. Solo. James says, The Rock's going to come out and help Cena. Found it unlikely. No payoff for it. Kangaroo Jack's a bit mean. Okay, we're getting very generic promos from Jimmy. Would be a good opportunity for Solo, though of course he was teasing trying to attack LA Knight tonight. Maybe that's how we end, but we haven't got much time to do it if that's the plan. King Isaac says, are we getting The Rock versus Roman now that Rock is back? No, nothing has been planned. Right, so daft question, isn't The Rock retired? Actually scrapped that, it's WWE. Yeah, he never actually retired. Hello PZ18, thank you very kindly for becoming a channel supporter, I very much appreciate it. Welcome to the show, you're of course very welcome to jump in with your questions and stuff as well. Here comes Solo getting involved here. Got some skulls to crush. See, AJ wants a bit of revenge, but The Rock and Cena have teamed up before. This is a SmackDown Watch Party PZ18, but we also do Ask Me Anything, where we ask questions about wrestling. We have our spoiler warning shows, which hopefully you might enjoy as well, so by all means check that out. I think John Cena versus Solo Sikoa has a bit of love behind it. I think we can go there and get a bit of a Rusev Cena energy. Solo's going for Jimmy as a distraction to keep Cena distracted. Lovely. Sean says, Tom, did you know that Grizzled Young Vets have left the company? I'm interested, by the way, to know who previously reported that the Grizzled Young Vets had left and then they didn't. I'd like to answer that before anything else. AJ Styles. Mine says, Rock wrestling again is like a Saw movie at Halloween, inevitable. AJ Styles is the one helping out John Cena. We've been saying it, guys. John Cena and AJ Styles clearing the ring of Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso. Grayson Waller literally just there. Still at his desk. Still absolutely fine. Still having a good day. He's in the zone. Looks like an incoming AA. Could we see an AA into a Styles clash? That could be fun. Just want to point that one out. Big pop for the crowd. AJ versus Roman's coming. Maya says, is that main event for Fastlane? That would mean no Roman again until SummerSlam. Survivor Series. Roman will be returning for Saudi Arabia. He will not be returning before. There will not be a title defense until Saudi Arabia comes around again. So we are building towards AJ Styles and John Cena versus Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa. That will be your bloodline element of Fastlane. Interesting show. I certainly do think I enjoyed it. Sean says maybe a tag match at Fastlane. I think so. We had The Rock. We had John Cena. And everything in between was fast-paced, was interesting. I quite enjoyed it. Sean says, I don't think Roman is advertised for Survivor Series. Roman isn't advertised for anything at the moment. Roman is an enigma. Enigma wrapped inside a mystery. But anyway, you guys know what this means. We have reached the point in the day in which point it is 3 a.m. here in the UK, and Tom Colohue needs to get himself some sleep. SmackDown, good show. Really quite enjoyed it. Good wrestling, apart from a few very short matches, and just constant advancement. Really going nice and fast. Good spots for involvement for Shotzi, for example. The brief involvement did distract Bayley. The Judgment Day were quite heavily involved as well, and there's a lot of intrigue with the different factions at the moment. Gomar gives it an 8 as well. Mine says, great show. Tom, congrats on 5k again. Have a great night. All in chat. Speak soon, mate. Thank you, Martin, and to you. As usual, there is nothing left but to say that I've been Tom Colohue. You have been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.